Hey, what's up? My name's Samuel Leeds. Thank you so much for coming to my channel. I'm a property investor. Recently, you may have seen me posting videos of castles and financial freedom challenges, doing lots of deals, making lots of money, and also my students doing the same thing too. So I decided right now, on this Sunday evening, to answer any questions that you have got about property investment right now, right here on Q&A Sunday. So please do me a massive favor, smash the like button, also subscribe, so you don't miss a video. So last week we had a bunch of questions. So here's how this is going to go. I'm going to start answering questions in the YouTube comments right now. What I want you to do is I want you to ask me anything at all in this video. So go to the comment box and just ask any question that you've got about property, and then I'll do my very best to answer your question next week. So let's see what happened last week. So we've got a guy called Daz G. He said, as you know, the rules about property are slightly different in Scotland, and I think that puts doubt in viewers from the region. Would you consider doing one of your from scratch challenges in Scotland and show us all how the pros do it? Thanks a lot, your content is great. All right, so a few things I'll say about Scotland and just generally with the challenges. Would I go and do a financial freedom challenge in Scotland? Yeah, heck yeah, I would actually. I'd love to do it. I just did one in Ireland. In fact, that's coming out. The full Ireland challenge is going to be coming out in 2 days' time. It's going to be coming out on Tuesday evening. So make sure you don't miss that, all right? So make sure you're subscribed. It's coming out on Tuesday evening, where I went to Ireland with no money and helped a guy who also had no money become financially free. It took us 7 days. You'll see exactly what happened on Tuesday. In Scotland, I mean, listen, everywhere I go, I've done financial freedom challenges in America. I've done them in different parts of the UK, just outside the UK, in Ireland. And what I found is the rules are slightly different, but the strategies work the same. So Scotland, the only major difference in Scotland is that when you put an offer on a property and it's accepted, you have to buy it. That's basically it. It's very, very similar. I would kill it in Scotland, but right now, I have no intentions to do another financial freedom challenge right this moment because I've just done one. My wife has just had a baby, and I'm just going to enjoy being at my house for a bit in Buckinghamshire. So I hope that helps. Go kill it in Scotland, Daz. You can do it. Fabio, when sending letters to HMO landlords, if the address of the owner is not on the register, how would you go about finding it? If the address of the owner is not on the register, you don't need to find the address if you're trying to find a HMO landlord. You don't need to. You can just go on spareroom.co.uk, and then rather than finding the landlord's address and sending a letter, just text the landlord. Just text them on Spare Room. Or just pick up the phone and phone a HMO management company and say, hey, could you put me in any of your HMO landlords that will be interested in my service? This is what my service is. Boom. 2021. I mean, letters are really good, but you don't need letters. But you can find the addresses of the owner. They normally, if you just type in HMO register in such and such an area, you'll probably get the whole list from the council. And if you don't, you can ring up the council and you can request that they give you every single address of every licensed HMO in that area, and they'll give you that. I mean, we're not short of information. What we're short of is people taking massive action. So Fabio, go kick some ass. Syed says, what are the fees for rent to rent? There are no fees for doing rent to rent. Just do a rent. If you've got a company, rent to rent is a service that you're offering. If you want to charge a fee, you can. But you're saying to a landlord, I mean, normally you're going to need to pay, the landlord is going to expect 1 month's upfront rent, and they're going to expect maybe a deposit. Okay, great. So, I mean, I just did a rent-to-rent in Ireland with David. It was actually, this was in Derry, so just on the Northern Ireland. And we just paid £1,300. 1 month's rent, 1 month's deposit, secured a rent-to-rent. Michael says, love the content. I can't wait to start my property next year when I'm 18 years old. My question is, how long do you get typically to pay back your refinance loan? I'm not 100% sure if I understand the question. If you get a loan, if you refinance a property and you've got a loan, how long before you pay it back? Never pay it back. Ever. You're 18 years old almost. You want it forever. So, this idea that we get a mortgage and we pay it back and we have to save up to pay off the mortgage quickly is financially retarded. Unless you're buying a property to live in, then you don't want a debt, because at some point that debt is going to have to be paid off. But if you're buying a property as an investment, that debt never has to be paid off, because the tenants are just going to keep on paying the interest, and on top of that, paying you your income. And the house is going to, over time, probably continue appreciating. That debt is good debt that's serving you. You don't want to pay it off. I probably would suggest that you don't pay off your own mortgage either. I'd probably suggest that you don't get a mortgage on your own house. I'd suggest that you just rent it. Rent where you live and rent out what you own. Get good debt on what you own, because the debt will need to be paid. Interest will need to be paid, but that's being paid by the tenants. Too many people went to school and listened to what their school teachers told them, and listened to what their parents told them, whose parents told them that, which is old school Victorian mindset around money, which keeps the vast majority of people poor. You want to know why people are poor across the world? In the UK, people are not poor because of lack of money. People are poor because of lack of knowledge in how to make, manage, and preserve money and wealth. Okay, Paul says, I was inspired by your last Financial Freedom Challenge. I want to get my foot in the door and wanted to start finding and selling deals. My question is there a way to find investors without a network of contacts? You need to get a network of contacts. Is there a way to find investors without a network of contacts? Well, the way to get a network of contacts is to find investors. So the two go hand in hand. That's like saying, is there a way to find investors without having investors? Yeah, there is. You need to get inside one of those network of contacts. You need to join communities like my Facebook group, which is free. 30,000 members. Free to join and to talk and to discuss and to bring value and to let the world know who you are. It's free. Everything is free. Investors, networks, free. Knowledge, information, it's all free. It's available. Partly because of me doing stuff like this and my groups and my YouTube videos. People saying, how do I find out where the HMOs are? It's free. You go to the council and you ask for it and they give it you for free. We're not short of money, and we're not short of information, and we're not short of good. Everyone's like, oh, I've got this really good idea, Samuel. I don't need a good idea. Too many good ideas. There's too few good people that will actually facilitate and implement and take action on those good ideas. There's too much fear. Everyone's scared. Everyone's a pussy in 2021. Everyone's afraid. They're afraid of losing. But you can't win unless you're prepared to lose. They're afraid to fail. But you can't fail unless... You have to fail your way to success. When I do my Financial Freedom Challenges, do you think that it's all success? It's not all success. The dude behind the camera, Pav, who's filming me right now, he films my Financial Freedom Challenges. And Pav, is it all success?
No.
It's a lot of failure. But you cannot have success without failure. You can't. It's like if you're playing a game of football, you keep kicking the ball. I mean, you only get 1 or 2 goals in a game. Everyone remembers the goals. What they don't remember is all the times you missed. And it's the same in life. Everyone sees my successes, but what they don't see is my failures. The times I'm rejected, which happens a lot, and it has to. So that's what you need to start doing, taking action. Creating Your Prosperity says, hi Samuel, hope you're well. For 4-bed unlicensed HMOs, what legal requirements do I need to comply with to make this happen? And also, is it a legal requirement to have communal areas in licensed and unlicensed HMOs? Okay, so first things first, a licensed HMO and an unlicensed HMOs, I personally run them pretty much the same. A licensed HMO just means that because it's of a certain size, usually 5 bedrooms or more, because it's of a certain size and there's a certain amount of people in that property, the council say, you need to show you're responsible. So you need to have a license. Namely, the property needs to be fit for purpose and you can't be a criminal. That's basically what they check. When I've got a 3-bed or a 4-bed HMO, even if it doesn't need a license, I'm still going to run the property to the standard whereby I would pass a license should I need a license, even though I don't. Why? Because I want my properties to be good. I want to be a good landlord. I want to have a good product. Property investing is a business. Your house is your product and your tenant is your customer. So I'll run it as if it's licensed. So to answer you, but if it's not licensed, no one will check it. The council won't come and look at it because it's not licensed. So you can run it, kind of how you want within reason, unless you're breaking other laws. But how I run it and how I would advise all my students to run it is as if it's licensed. So to answer your question about communal areas, do you need to have communal areas? The rules are every bedroom, if it's licensed, every bedroom needs to be 70 squared feet at 6.5 square meters. That's about the size of a small room. You get a single bed, a wardrobe, small room. Okay, not a box room, small room, 70 squared feet. That's the minimum requirement for rooms. Now, if the rooms are all large double rooms, namely 100 squared feet, you do not need a communal area for licensed HMOs. So you've got 5 rooms, they're all 100 squared feet. 100 squared feet is double bedroom, chest of drawers, wardrobe, nice bit of floor space, good size, decent, healthy room. Not massive, but just a good size, decent room. If they're all like that, you don't need a communal area at all. You can turn the communal area into another bedroom. If they're smaller than 100 squared feet, then you should have a communal area. So that's the rules. All right, Kieran Wilson. Hi Samuel, kind of started like yourself, bought 2 properties outright in my own name. Would it be more beneficial in future to buy properties through a limited company, or will it differ from person to person? Okay, great question, Kieran. So there are tax advantages to buying through a limited company, hands down. If you've already bought properties in your individual name, it's probably not worth switching over. I haven't switched over because you've got to pay stamp duty and it's not worth the hassle, the cost to switch your properties from individual name to a company. However, moving forward, it probably is best to buy through a company. Now, I am not a tax advisor, neither do I know your situation. But my advice to you, my guidance would be that you speak to a tax advisor, you give them your situation, and then you decide what's best. But probably a company would be a good option because you can claim things back as tax deductible, such as your mortgage expenses, your mortgage payments. You can't claim that back if you own it individually, which is a pain. So more tax efficient. There are disadvantages as well to owning it in a company, but there are more advantages to disadvantage, usually speaking. So go speak to a tax advisor, keep up the good work. Meet George. Do you invest in anything else besides property, stocks, etc.? Look, man, property is my thing. I love property. I know property. I love the fact that everyone has to live somewhere. There's so many reasons why I love property investment and why I think it's by far superior to most investments. Do I invest in other stuff? A little bit. I'm in business, obviously. I just invested in a few businesses last week, actually. Some really good stuff. One of my students, but anyway, that's another story. Cryptocurrencies is something that I am being introduced to. I mean, you can't ignore it. I've got a little bit of Bitcoin, but the thing is, I can have Bitcoin and I can hope that it's going to go up in value, but it's not going to pay me any rent. So I like property the most, and I'm not an expert in other investments. Maybe I'm an expert in business, possibly. But property, I think, is a safe bet, and property is going to be around for hundreds and hundreds of years. So it's something that I can pass down to my kids and my kids' kids. But yeah, I mean, I'm very, very pro other investments. My favorite is property. Hope that helps. Okay, Piof Tour. Thanks for leading the way and helping others improve their lives through property. You're a start. You're welcome. After 4 years renting, my wife and I decided to buy a forever house for us, for the kids. We complete in a few weeks and are putting an extension on the house and upgrading throughout. We have a small property management company, so my question is, after adding significant value, could we refinance the house through our property company? And if so, could we rent it to ourselves through our company? Okay, so a couple things. Firstly, I don't think you're going to be able to refinance it through your property company if your property company doesn't own it. Okay? Now listen, speak to your broker and stuff by all means, but that's my understanding. Also, if you're pushing the value up and then you're trying to refinance the house, just be mindful that if it's your house that you live in, it's not about the value of the house, it's about what you can afford more than anything. If you live in a house and you're trying to get finance on that house, the banks know that that house is just a personal loan, basically. They might have collateral on the house, fine, so they will want to value the house, but they're not going to want to give you money unless they know that you can pay that money back. You can pay the interest. And how are you going to do that? If it's an investment property, they're going to say, well, let's look at the rentability. But if it's your property, what they're going to look at is your income. So, I would definitely, before you start spending lots of money on doing works and stuff, and assuming that you can then refinance, I would get mortgage advice from a broker and go through that now. I would suggest that. So I hope that's given you a couple of things to think about, and good luck. Okay, last question. Big Boss 619. If there was a house market crash, by the way, there will be. People are, what do you mean? Well, there's a market, typically every 10, 12 years, there's a market crash. Because houses go up and then they go down, and then they go up and then they go down. It's no big deal. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, it's no big deal. But anyway, if there was a market crash, which there will be, will it impact people who are on interest-only mortgage and how they pay their mortgage and interest? A crash will impact everybody, I guess, to a degree, but not really, no. I mean, when I bought my first house in 2009, and then it dropped in value, I've been in negative equity with properties, but it doesn't matter unless you're planning on selling it. Like, let's say you buy a house for 100 grand and you're happy with it. You're buying the house for 100 grand. Why are you buying the house? You're buying the house because you want an income from it. So you buy it for 100 and you rent it out, say, as a HMO, and you're making £800 profit a month. Great, good for you. You're renting it out, you're making £800 a month. Are you planning on selling that house? No. What are you planning on doing? Just keeping it and making your £800 a month, because that's what you're living on. That's your passive income. Do you want the house to go up in value? Probably, because then you can get more equity. You can release more equity by refinancing it, and then you can use that money tax-free to go buy more houses. So yeah, you probably want it to go up in value. Maybe you don't want it to go up in value, because maybe you want to buy more houses. If you buy it for 100 and it drops to 80, everyone's, oh my gosh, you bought it for 100 and it dropped to 80. Good, because I bought it for 100 and it's making me £800 a month. Now it's dropped to 80, which means I can go and buy others in the street now for even cheaper and get an even better return on investment. Good, I'm glad it dropped. If it goes up, good, I'm glad it went up. Truth is, it doesn't matter. I don't care if the market's going down, if the market's going up. What I care about is my income, my passive income. And in a market crash, when properties are going down and crashing, usually rents go up. Often happens. Why? Because people can't afford to buy, because there's a recession going on. And often the house market crashes because of a recession. Often, not always. But during recessions, like we had a bad recession 2020. And what happened to rents? They went up by about 7% across the UK. So there's no hard and fast rules, but generally speaking, when you buy a property, you want to buy one for cash flow for rent, one for capital appreciation, sure, but capital appreciation doesn't pay the bills. But number three is you're going to buy it below market value anyway. So when you buy a property for 100 grand, you probably bought it, it was probably worth 125 if you're smart. If it drops to 100, who cares? Then go and buy another one for 80. Like, you need to make sure that when you're buying, you're a sophisticated investor, you know what you're doing, you get the right training. I say everything's free. But Samuel, don't you have expensive courses? I have a property investors crash course. And guess what? It's free. Join me at the crash course. I'll leave a link in the description. Come down on the house for free. That's going to be on the 7th of April, the next one. So get booked on. It's going to be absolutely incredible, where you can learn everything I know about property condensed into one-day training program for free. Also, if you've got questions about property, comment them below and I'll do my best to answer. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. You can subscribe right here. I'd love you to subscribe. Stop thinking and stop messing around. Just subscribe to the channel. Do that right now. And if you want to watch some more exciting videos, check them out right here. And don't forget to subscribe as well for David's channel. David's FF Challenge is coming soon. I'll see you at the crash course. Peace out. Thanks for watching.